family is well in their right to feel
whatever they want to
hurt
feel.
that he's not going to be there. But you see, the family needs more than your presence. They need your money. And that's the truth. Going by his analysis of the family in the story, there is a surgery. I mean, there will not be another wedding. But the person that needs a surgery might need life. You understand? So really, at the end of the day, choosing a career that would increase your income by $60,000 is not...
Conversation where the real ones talk. From the heart of the nation, we all take that walk.
Through the fire. That's right. Hey. Welcome to The Big Conversation. We're so excited to wrap up the week with another interesting conversation. And today's conversation is one that many people may not say out loud, but have definitely faced at one time or the other. So imagine this. A young woman has a major opportunity at work, an event that could lead to a promotion, more money, and a significant career breakthrough. But of course, it falls on the same day as her brother's wedding, a once-in-a-lifetime family moment. And of course, she makes a choice. She chooses work. Now her family is, disappointed. They feel hurt. They feel like she's choosing ambition over family. But from her perspective, this is not just an event, it's a turning point. So today we ask, when career and family collide, what should come first? I know the ladies at the table cannot wait to dig into this juicy conversation. Welcome back to The Big Conversation. Today's conversation is about a situation that is not as simple as right or wrong. Because on one hand, family moments are irreplaceable. You cannot redo a wedding day. You cannot rewind time. But on the other hand, opportunities don't always come twice. In today's world where, career growth is competitive and financial stability is critical, many people feel the pressure to seize every opportunity they get. So this raises important questions. Is choosing career over family a sign of ambition or misplaced priorities? Should family always come first, no matter the circumstance? And how do you navigate moments where both choices matter deeply? Because sometimes success requires sacrifice. But the real question is, what are you willing to sacrifice? And at what cost? So let's have the big conversation. And I know you've all read this story. If you've read the story online as well, is this, I don't know if it was a lady or a guy. The person was a guy. Oh, okay. So obviously he has this job. His brother is getting married as well, had been very instrumental in planning the wedding as well. He's also not the breadwinner, but he's also, he also is very generous in his family, or one of the people, who contribute in the family. So the brother's wedding, he apparently has like this very high-end training he has to go to, because that will also impact his career growth. And he chooses to go to the career training. And of course, do you think the family is well in their right to feel disappointed? Yes. Okay. Yes. Do you feel the family?
So for me, it is not a one-size-fits-all. It also depends on where you're coming from. There are some families that are not that integrated. They're not that close. So, once he has given them money, it might not really matter. But there are some families that they're like, in my own family, you cannot do that. I cannot imagine not to go for my sibling's wedding. I won't even be concentrating wherever the training. So I probably would have negotiated for another time, because usually those trainings are in like batches. I probably would have negotiated for another. I wouldn't want to lose out on my training too, but I probably would have tried to talk to my line manager and negotiate for another time. I can do the training. Even if it's going to take a year, I'll probably take that sacrifice and wait for another 1 year, and I'll go for my family wedding. So as I say, it depends on case in question. If it's a friend, friend's hierarchy. If it's
your best friend,
if it's my bestie,
you also know.
Then really? Category.
Wow.
But if it's just a friend, I think that we're not that. I'll probably wait. But I won't just assume my friend will understand either. I'd like to
have a conversation.
I like to be communicative. So I'll probably have that conversation. Babes, I did not know this was going to happen. This and this and this and this. Might be then
Right. Jumoke wrote a whole book about how to balance career and family, and it's called In the Valley of Decision. So Jumoke,
the real value.
The real value.
The gully.
What would you do in this situation? Do you think? Well, let me start from. Do you think that the family is well in their right to feel disappointed?
So I was going to speak to that. The family is well in their right to feel
whatever
hurt
they want to feel
that he's not going to be there. But you see, the family needs more than your presence. They need your money. And that's the truth. Going by his analysis of the family in the story, there is a surgery. There will not be another wedding. But the person that needs a surgery might need life. You understand? So really, at the end of the day, choosing a career that would increase your income by $60,000 is not.
It's not beans.
What we are talking about is
Exactly.
not really career at this point. Waiting 1 year to make that money might cost that woman the surgery. Now, you don't want to put your loved ones in a limbo. You know, if it has to do with their life, you really don't. If it's about life, it's a wedding. And some people heard me say, you're not the priest. You're not the bride. You're not the groom.
The wedding will go on with or
The
without
wedding
you.
can go on beautifully without you. You just want to be a part of the experience and the memories.
Well, fair
we
enough.
We will create memories. We will have family vacation in December with the money I'm going to make.
I like
I
it.
will pay for everybody to come together, and then we'll have a wonderful time. But then, with that money, we'll be able to do surgery as well. We'll be able to pay mortgages on several people's houses. We'll be able to pay for the education of the children. We'll be able to do so much with the money we will make.
Yeah.
If I attend that wedding and I'm unable to afford that surgery, and my mother dies in less than a year, I will feel personally responsible for not being able to be there for her.
Right.
You know, supporting. He had already given money for the wedding, joined them to plan. So you are sure that his heart is here.
Yeah.
It's just that life has happened.
Right.
And that's why we need to actually cut ourselves some slack. If you are the relative, you cannot be slamming your body on the floor that is not there. Sir, don't forget the money.
The money
You know, I
is
remind you, don't forget the money. And I will make you sign. You will make this up to me. And I get to call the shots. And of course, somebody who loves you will say, okay, no problem, what do you want? And then we negotiate. It doesn't have to be a
But
deal
what did
breaker.
you try negotiating, getting the training done the next month?
I think
That may not always be available.
yes,
though.
it may
But
not
you,
always-
it
not
can
always
always,
recommended.
it's 50-50.
See, what he
It's a
wants to do with
training.
the money
Yes.
is timed. That's what I was saying. Now, if you didn't
Yes.
mention the surgery at all, it's a different thing. Somebody is living in discomfort, and I need this
Yeah.
money.
But did the
as soon as
family not
possible.
know that I needed that extra money?
and
They
they also,
know, they're
they also
still
actually
hurt.
depend on him.
Yes.
to provide
Now,
a
the
few
beautiful
things.
thing was he had not even said whether he wanted
Yes.
to go or not.
Right.
They assumed he would choose to go
No, he
because
had
he's
said he
done
was
it a few
going, though.
times.
He had said he was going. He was going
No,
to
so
the
immediately he told his brother
Yes,
about it. Before
exactly.
he said he would go, he
Yes.
wouldn't go. They were like, oh, okay, so you are
So
going.
you are going,
You know, so they
exactly.
assumed because they've noticed that he tends, you know, to
Yes.
like work stuff.
Yes, Ayo, now what do you think? Do you think it's that deep? This situation, do you think it's that deep?
From the question you asked earlier, I think the family is
Well in their rights.
within their rights to
Right.
feel however they want to feel. However, I think the same grace will be extended to the person who also has, life dreams, life goals. I'm a part of this unit as a family, but I'm also an individual who also has goals, who also has, ideas and dreams that I want to achieve
Yes.
as an individual.
Yes.
And just like Jumoke said, to be honest, the most important thing is your money. I understand that, in closely knit families like Ebon's, it's a little different. But in most families,
Yes.
you are loved because you have something to drop on the table. If you are the useless family member, most times,
Yes.
even if you are not there, it's after, did this one even come? So I think they can feel disappointed that, this member of the family wasn't able to make the event. However, I think generally the family should cut him some slack. And he should also give himself that grace. You are an individual, even away from the family, and you should be allowed to chase your goals, to chase your dreams.
Right, but I mean, there are people in the comment section on that. I don't know if you saw the comment that said even if they're on wedding, they'll miss it. And you use picture. Because there are weddings that when they use picture of it right now, maybe they are even abroad. So it's not even about the money, but there's a situation where they're in Nigeria. We have seen couples where the couple is here and that couple is abroad and they don't. So that's what I'm asking, that is it actually that deep?
We will postpone that wedding if the groom or bride are not around.
Oh, you
All
that
that
one.
picture thing will work.
Some people actually do. I've seen people do it
They
before
do
when
it.
they have
They
a
do
picture
it.
and stuff like that.
Maybe
But
they didn't get their visa or something.
yes, yes. So you're saying, Jumoke, that there should never be a time where work or family should sort of take priority over work. Are there instances?
I was going to say that was not what I was saying, because in that book, which is basically my diary, so every day I woke up and wrote something for 3 months, and that's what I put in the book. I probably added an introduction and a closing, but that's all raw, unadulterated, how I felt every day. So in that book, I picked family over work, right? But trust me, this is after the book. And I know
exactly.
And I know that money is important. So the story was, I was working in a bank, I was working in the legal department, and then they shut down the legal department of the region and said everybody should move to Lagos. So it became a family decision. Is the family moving to Lagos with me because I was earning a little bit more than my husband, and so I was really carrying some weight. But then, now we did the math, and living in Lagos was not an option because whatever that income I was rejoicing over was, it was not going to be able to help us get an apartment. Let's even start from there. Even the relocation allowance was not enough to get us an apartment of the standard we had in Ibadan. And then schools, I mean, it was die, you know. So we had to agree to leave the children in Ibadan, my husband in Ibadan, and then I go to Lagos and then I shuttle every weekend. Now, that means I had 2 homes that I was, so I was staying with my mother-in-law, and so I was in charge of the kitchen in my home in Ibadan. I was in charge of the kitchen in my mother-in-law's house because I will not ask her to be, Mommy, what did you cook today? It won't happen, you know. So I had to have 2 sets of helps, one in Ibadan, one in Lagos. And it became ridiculous at some point. And then there were traumatic incidences. I had to just write a book. From personally being unable to enjoy living in Lagos, most Ibadan people have that syndrome. You know, once they enter Lagos like this, they have a headache that doesn't go until they leave, you know, apart from that natural thing. And then I started having incidents where you'll be managing your child's health on the phone, you know, and your husband doesn't even know that you left soup in the freezer and then it has spoiled and they are not eating and you're obsessing over it. Somebody, the caregiver that was at home with the kids, one day decided to go on gallivant, locked the kids in the house, left the dog open, and I just kept thinking, what if there was a fire outbreak? How would these children, and they can't come out, they can't, you know, and I had like 6 friends go to knock on the gates. They couldn't come in to access the kids. The kids couldn't do anything. And this girl was gone for so long. Now, that night, I fell apart in the office. Immediately, I knew that was, I'm here, they're there. I came to Ibadan from the office that night. I was given the next 3-4 days off. And then it became a difficult thing to go back, you know. Of course, a lot more happened.
Get the book.
You know, a lot more happened after that. But, you know, I had to pick family because I didn't like not knowing. And then I had a child that was writing entrance exams. I don't know if she's studying. I don't know how well she's studying. But I was around for the entrance exam. I didn't even like what I was hearing. I didn't have the opportunity to even go school scouting. You know,
because I think ultimately, I think to be honest, now that I've heard everybody's perspective, I think it's also about where you are.
Exactly.
Because I chose family too when I was younger because my husband was always out of town and I was just beginning my career and was beginning that my career was now beginning to like eat into study time, just normal homework time. I didn't know, it was literally in the nanny raising the kids. So I'm closing work at 10. My husband is in another city. But nobody told me, but myself. I said, I'm home with the kids. But now, they are grandma and grandpa.
Exactly.
I can face career, I can travel. They're big. Once I know that you guys are good, they have their phone, I can reach them. I think that now I can pick to do other things while. So I think, it also depends on...
Part of this story, because where his mom had called him and he had said, you know, money spends, memories don't. And he says, but here's what nobody's saying. I have $34,000 in student loans. My rent went up to $400 this year. I have a daughter. I have a mother with a bad knee who needs surgery. I am one emergency away from a financial crisis at all times. So these are the people that even know they take from you.
And that's
Is it bad that they are making him feel guilty for choosing?
Yes, it is very bad
Yes.
because he's working for money for your
bad,
surgery.
sure, they'll feel bad. They always want him there. But
I think there's a difference between them feeling bad
and
making him
feel
feel
bad.
bad.
Are they making him feel
line?
guilty?
Yes, they are.
Then that's bad.
Because his brother was crying. When of course you are crying, you may not, you may feel bad, but of course I think there's also part of the emotional, because the mom called and said your brother has been crying and that money spends,
emotional
memories
blackmail.
don't.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm also one of those people who I prefer actually memories, because for example I prefer to travel than buy designer bags or designer, because the kind of things that will do for the children, the core memory that it will build, they will grow up. I mean, for me, so I remember those things that my parents did when we were younger. So I do prefer, you know, building memories than
buying a designer bag,
buying things like that. However, I think that in some situations, I think perspective, it needs to be put in perspective.
Right.
This person is someone that he pays black tax very well in his family. You know, so I think that his family should have perhaps considered that instead of just trying to make him feel guilty. Because I know people who have chosen family over maybe money or work,
backfired,
and they have lived with guilt. Even in the situation where you're talking about, there are women who feel because they could have really
The
gone
level
far
of
in their
resentment
careers.
comes will
Yes.
set in at some
So,
point.
so when I was supposed to move, I had an HOD that said no. So that was my second move. The first move, when I joined the bank, I wanted to be in Ibadan. They put me in Lagos. They said I knew too much. I mastered the department. I was too good. But I got pregnant with my second child. Now, before that, I had a miscarriage on Christmas Day because
my
I was
goodness.
signing an agreement, a shipping agreement till 10 p.m. pregnant in the first trimester, and then I got home and everything came down. And so when I got pregnant with the second, the next pregnancy after that, everybody was watching my stress levels, watching my stress levels, and then the pregnancy became a dramatic one. I'll suddenly be walking, my legs will freeze, and then you have to drive or wheel me anywhere I want to go. I wake up in the morning, my face is swollen, and you check. I wake up sometimes 39 degrees, I'm running a temperature and there's absolutely nothing wrong. And so the doctor told me that I just need to come back to Ibadan. There's nothing else. And so my HOD called me to a meeting and said, that is the end of your career.
Wow.
Because I was in meetings across departments. I was doing interbank meetings. I was facilitating loans across several banks and handling, the security for that. So she says, if you leave now, your edge in banking is gone. I was formulating policies for banks, So she
I can
said,
imagine
Madam,
that
if you go now,
Where
it's
you would have
over.
been now.
Yeah.
And I said, you probably have a dream of me becoming a company secretary. I just want to be a good mom, and I just want to have kids, and I don't want to live with guilt. And she said, well, this your husband, do you want to bet 6 months without the kind of income you make in Lagos, and you guys will tear each other apart? And I said, Auntie, why are you being so violent about it? She said, because she's been there. And so the minute you are earning a little bit more than he's earning, and that income goes, the same way the women resent the men. The men just cannot say that's what is causing the tension, but there will be absolute tension. And I said, well, I pick love. I couldn't understand what she was saying, because if there's love, we'll get through anything.
Yes.
And then I cannot not make income. It might not be as much, but I'll still be making money. So we cut our coats according to our size. But I can assure everybody on this table that the 3 years that I spent without income was the most difficult 3 years in my marriage. As a matter of fact, we are just recovering now.
Wow.
From my inability to earn. So after I resigned for a job. The job fell through. On the day I resigned, the job offer was withdrawn.
Wow.
So I had a lot of baggage by myself. But like I would always tell somebody, if you are a Christian or a Muslim and you have a way of hearing God, hear God. So I was given an opportunity to take back my resignation because I didn't have a job I was going to anymore. And I felt God said I should stay. And so I stayed without a job. And then a month or two after, my dad took ill. And so I ended up feeding him 3 times a day, every day for 3 years. Of course, immediately after that, I got all the jobs I lost back.
Wow.
So that's the testimony. But those 3 years were harrowing. So my father took ill and suddenly needed medical care. And the care I could give was to feed him. We had to hire nurses that I could not afford to contribute to. We had to buy him drugs that I could not afford to pay for. He had hospital bills that I just couldn't, I couldn't meet up. And then, of course, those are the parent bills, The children bills didn't go away. And then I kept having lofty dreams, and my husband could not understand it. I don't like mundane schools. I have the kind of schools I like. I have the kind of English I want my children to speak. And I want my children to point. And then I give them a date. Don't worry, by this time I'll get it. I virtually broke down in 2021 February. I had the lowest day of my life on the 2nd of February. I wept bitterly, and I recorded a podcast and said, this is the lowest I would ever be in life. And thankfully, I can gladly say that that's the lowest, because on that particular day, I didn't have money to fuel my car to go and feed my dad.
Wow.
It was that bad. And I come in, I'm wailing all morning, and my husband goes, what's the issue? And I go, I lament with all my heart. And he goes, oh, okay, use that as fuel to rise to the top, and he's pressing his phone. No rubbing your head, no rubbing your back. And I'm like, okay, is this what she meant? When she said, well, you're not bringing anything to the table, your value is like really low. And then I waited, and I consciously counted 10 days. It didn't even pat me.
Wow.
10 days after. I'm not saying on the day I went. 10 days after, and I'm like, okay, so they preach to me, I should use this pain as fuel to rice. But how on earth do you translate that pain into money? Especially if you can't work because you're feeding a sick
Yes, that's
relative.
motivational. That's
You know,
motivational
so the motivational speech didn't do anything for
yeah.
me. And then we had really big fights. I mean, every market list was war. Why are we eating this? Why are we eating? And I was
Yes,
like,
that's
we
what
were
we can
eating 4
afford.
times this before. I'm asking you for 4,000 naira markets.
yeah.
5,000 naira. Me that I know that in my heydays, I was
Yeah,
doing
so the
20,
money
35.
matters.
You know, so it puts such a strain on
Yes.
us that now trusting each other with money is a big deal because it just brought out
affected.
monsters.
Exactly.
It just brought monsters out of
Right,
us, you know.
right.
So
Yeah, it's that. It reminds me of that Ibukwan Oshika statement that she made that, oh, you're home, try not to make money a factor. I don't know if you saw that video circulating about how obviously she was the higher earner when she was doing her carpentry. She had a chair shop, you know, and so thank God she didn't make money such a factor because of course now her husband had oil field, was an oil in, had an oil field and of course much richer than her. So money is, when you say, because last few days we had a conversation about how maybe a good name better than riches. Obviously, you can have a good name and riches. We've established that. However, money is very important. And so, you know, so the family that's saying, oh, you should choose memories over money. How bad will it get if, for example, this guy doesn't have money? If you looked at the comment section, people were actually telling their stories of how the fact that they're unable to, because now it's no longer firstborn that's firstborn. It's whoever is the richest.
Whoever is the richest, my sister. I
In
will
most
hold
African
every other
families,
person.
we know the
yes.
trip in my family. There's no richest, there's no firstborn, there's no lastborn. We divide the bills, so everybody's supplied the same. So that day, that February 2 of
you didn't have your
2021, no, a sibling called me and told me that what am I doing with my life? How can we give me this tiny bill and I'm unable to pay, you know? And I really felt horrible. They knew I didn't have a job because I was taking care of him. I couldn't take anything. I couldn't do anything else. And you're still insulting me on my lack of ability to provide. Should you not be doing double because I am
I mean, in this
using my
moment,
muscle,
Yes,
you know, and you
exactly.
guys are just sending money. Shouldn't you at least compensate me for being there?
Right.
So in families, really, people will be insensitive and you will be hurt when you cannot provide. You know, so it's actually extremely important that you make sure that you, no matter what happens,
You are
keep
able to. You're able to.
provision
Yes.
on.
Do
Yeah.
you think it's something we see more in African families? But like I've just made an example of.
This
It's
guy
not
is
his.
African now.
No,
Is
he's
he
not.
black?
He's African. He's not African. He's
Because
African.
I didn't check.
I think he's
dollars
African.
and everything.
Yeah.
But maybe he works in
People earn in
multinational.
dollars.
Yeah, so maybe because I think he's African.
Well, but he's talking mortgage, so he's probably African, but not living in
No,
Africa.
not living in Africa.
But I think this is something that's more rife in African families.
Because
where
of
you
the
better
black
have your
tax.
money,
Yes.
or else your siblings will. And it's not as if you guys are competitors, but you just don't want to be the sibling that can't contribute for holiday. The sibling
contribute
that
for
when mommy is sick, you can't.
can't.
It's
It is well. It is well is always what you have to offer. But I mean, I would like to add something that the reality is, whichever one you choose, both ways there are consequences.
Yeah.
I know that people who choose to, I mean, and like Ebu said at some point, that if you choose family, sometimes it depends on where you are in life.
yes.
Exactly.
If you go the other way, even sometimes there are consequences both ways. You either lose out on opportunities for a long time that you will find very difficult to get back on track. However, sometimes, you know, going the career way sometimes
Yes,
can
there are
mean
also consequences.
losing out on
You
family.
get disconnected.
It's I think at the end of the day, people who are in this, I think families shouldn't be the ones who decide. Like I said, they should be allowed to feel, because people feel disappointed by things, people feel hurt. There are expectations that have been set, and so sometimes when those expectations are not met, people feel bad.
Right.
I think sometimes there are, you know, high earners in the family like that who have boxed themselves. No family member ever told them that if you don't do this thing, you are cast out.
Yeah.
But people
but
have
they
wired their
yeah.
brains to the point where they believe that if I'm unable to provide that thing the
Exactly. I
family
don't
needs,
feel
then I am no
valuable in
longer
family.
valuable to the
That's,
family.
but you know, but the irony is that's how I feel. Not because anybody has said that to me, but because I
Yes.
feel I'm the firstborn.
Yes.
And it's my responsibility
To be there.
to make sure my parents are fine, to make sure my siblings are doing well. So thank God that I don't have a needy sibling. Everybody's trying, everybody's pulling their weight. But one thing I would say from what you said is, even though, yes, I did realize that, even though when I sacrificed myself younger, I lost opportunities. I could have worked with ExxonMobil, for example,
at
because
that.
I ran their scholarship
at
in
that.
school. But then when I was young bride, I was pregnant. Most of the time when I could go do exam, I couldn't go. I even lost another opportunity with BAT. And that was when I was pregnant with Bukumi. I got it to the last level. My
Look at
medical
that.
showed that.
You were
Ma,
pregnant.
and this is management training. It's not it's a rigorous. So of course I've lost opportunities, but it wasn't planned. Like, well, I mean, because I was. But so that's why I say it depends on where you are. So that's why recently when I had to travel more of late. And my husband is going, are you traveling? I'm like, yes. I'm like, and I'm like, I did not know when I schooled that day. I said, you know, I understand how you feel. And it's because you didn't meet me as a high-flying career woman who already, maybe I'm in Tokyo today. You won't be asking me now that because Mojaja, Dusty, came over, it's not, please don't make it an issue. The children are big.
I have made myself.
You are home.
Yes.
I've left. I've mothered. Now that I'm seeing opportunities to make more money, and it's not if it's doing my money. You know how we work.
Yes.
It's for us and all that. Don't
So
make it an
true.
issue.
And look
So
at how you
true.
communicated that.
Yeah.
Some other people will just keep quiet. What will my
Exactly,
husband
and
do?
just
I'm not
and
sure.
move
I'm
on.
not in
But
that
anymore. And you know, I think it also depends on, as we go to agree or disagree, I think it's also depending on maybe our trauma or baggage. You would choose, depending on, you would choose, maybe for example, if someone that, maybe they've embarrassed you because you didn't have money in the family.
Yes.
You're always going
You
to
don't
choose
want to be in
career.
that position.
Or maybe you're also someone where you've lacked that connection. You'd always perhaps
choose
choose
family.
connection. So I think it really depends. Choose your hard. Because at the end of the day, they are both hard
both
and
hard.
and their consequences. Anyway, it's time for our agree or disagree segment. So stay tuned.
Voices rising, stories told, truth unfolding, brave and bold. In this space we speak our mind, different views all intertwined. It's the big conversation where the real ones talk.
All right, welcome. Thank you for staying with us. It's time for Agree or Disagree, and it's a segment where we share a bold statement and defend our decision to agree, disagree, or agree. Today's statement is simple. Career opportunities can come again. Family moments cannot. Career opportunities can come again. Family moments cannot. I guess that would mean that means you should pick the career opportunities. Since family moments cannot.
But it depends on what the family moments are.
Career opportunities can
And
come
who says
again.
career
Family
opportunities can
Family
come again?
moments, yes.
Yeah,
How do you know that it can come
exactly?
again?
And then family moments differ. Okay, yeah, a wedding is there, but
Okay.
I know there were times that they planned holidays and I couldn't
Yes.
make it for whatever reason.
Yes.
But we've planned several ones after.
Let
so
me
it
change the story
depends.
now. Thank God we're all moms.
Right?
You are a mom, and then one of your child is getting married, and the other child says, it is in this situation, I have to
It's
travel.
not funny. It's
Exactly.
not
Now
a
you're
nice
a mom.
thing.
Jasper says,
People
I'm
come
not
here,
coming
you want a
for
wedding, if I
because
say,
I
wahala ni
have
now.
a training in Dubai.
I would
And
really not
we're
be happy
moms.
about
How
that,
do you,
to be
exactly.
honest.
As
That's
a
the
mom,
truth.
Jumoke,
I
how
will be
you-
happy, but I will be happy for him if he's getting an opportunity he's been looking for. You know, so it's
Only-
perspective. I will be hurt. I will miss him.
But the
I
truth
will
is,
think of
it's
1,001
always
things
better
he would do for
to
me.
talk about it than assume
Yes,
the person
than assume they will
understands.
mind.
Communication
They will
is
mind,
the
yeah.
most important thing in this
I
life.
agree.
Sit both of them down. Let them get at each other, and then you are now there mediating and making each of them see the value of whatever is going on.
And you know, when you look at it like that, the person who is getting married, that's a moment in their
Yes,
life, a big
yes.
moment. The person who is traveling to wherever,
get
it's also a big
moment
moment
as
in their
well,
life as
yeah.
well. So deciding that one memory or
Yes.
one moment is more important or valuable than the other
Yes.
is also not a
Okay,
good
so
place
you're
to
looking
be
at
in.
generally, do you agree or
But what if
disagree?
that person
if it's a general,
was
do you
playing a
agree?
pivotal role at
You
your own wedding?
disagree. Okay.
And was
Are you
there
agreeing
carrying
or
all your
disagreeing?
cloth and gave you money, come?
Yeah.
Are you
And person
agreeing
tells
or
you that,
disagree?
remind you that I
career
was at your
opportunities,
wedding.
can you show that again? Career opportunities
Ayo.
can come again. Family moments
It's a
cannot.
box. That's a corner I don't
Yes,
want to be
I will stand in
I
the
agree
middle
too.
as well.
I
Because I feel,
I
I mean,
disagree,
also
though.
look at it as a wife. If you always have a husband who's always choosing career,
Oh, my
over-
dear now.
Of course.
Always.
Over
That's-
the
that's
children's
the
life,
thing.
that's
That's
the
the
mass
difference.
soul.
Because
and
That's
money,
the difference,
money.
always. But
Yes.
you see, there are sometimes when it will not be.
But for this
It's a
guy, for them
priority.
to have said that before he concluded,
thank
you already
you.
No,
discussed
so
it.
he
You
mentioned,
already
no, he
that
even
does
mentioned
often.
that I missed
Exactly.
his graduation.
Eh,
I
no one saw
Thank
you
you.
I missed
now.
my graduation. You know, so it carries different weights
Yes.
for different
Different
people.
families. Yes.
And that's why I kind of disagree. And you know, I was mentioning that there's something I really, really want to say. And that is that if you ever pick career, you must intentionally and deliberately make it up. And when I say that, family moments don't come again, that's a lie. We
Family
will do the
moments
wedding
can
when
come.
I come. And then I can make it happen. For me, you, the couple will do something.
Maybe like
when
their
I'm
own
there.
Naming ceremony will
One
come.
Exactly.
Birthday will come.
We will do something.
Or you buy them a
you
car.
know, and then
you know.
when you tend to pick
Yes.
career a lot, trainings, traveling a lot,
Yes.
I actually make sure that I systemize creating memories as a family. You might not remember how we went for somebody's wedding because really, me, I don't know how you see weddings. Ebu, for example, will probably not be able to sit down at a wedding. She'll be
Yeah.
coordinating. So is that the family memory I'm looking for? No. But us being together at a table
Thank you.
Yeah.
when
Thank you.
I am not serving.
Thank you for jabbing at me because the first wedding,
exactly.
Ojú mi rí.
You were not at the wedding, you were watching.
Exactly. When you really at that wedding.
What memory have you
Well, just
created
her
at the
being
wedding?
there, just her sister being there. I know I would not want to
So I would
have a
rather
wedding
be-
where my sisters would
Yes,
not.
I'd rather be at the pre.
Exactly.
I'd rather be at the pre, be at the post, be the voice you're listening
Yes.
to. It's not so much of the wedding, it's about the family, it's about the memories. So I have, in my family, instituted a formula for creating memories. So no matter what happens to everybody, there are days of the year where we get together and we play family. In spite of the fact that I am out of town 3 days a week, there are times of the year that everybody drops what they're doing to gather together. If you have created that institution, the fact that you have to be away won't hurt as much.
Yes,
Because they're
true.
sure that maximum 2 months down the line, we're getting together and we're getting away from everybody and bonding as a family. So if you need to choose career,
Then you need to
please
make sure
know
you
you
put
must be
those things
intentional
in place.
about
Absolutely.
creating family memories.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. We all know that uncle that there. We don't see them often, but when they come, they drop dollars.
Exactly.
They drop, and
And
we
they are our
love them.
favorite uncle.
And we love
okay.
them. Absolutely, and we love them. So it's about being intentional.
Right.
You know, your family, and I think that family shouldn't make people feel guilty, even for choosing. Because for them, like, you don't know what baggage people are carrying.
Right.
For them, it means something for them to be able to have a beautiful career and have, you know, money in the bank and have investment.
Yeah.
So if there are people like that, I think we shouldn't make them feel guilty. We should find a way to make it work. You do. So yeah, let's look at our wise words on the web very quickly. Jumoke, will you read it for us?
Okay. Balance is not something you find, it's something you create. Jana Kingsford.
Absolutely. Even they always say Barack Obama can have time for Michelle Obama. I beg you are not too busy. You can make time, and time is to be
But there's
made.
this trending video now where
Yes.
a girl is mocking people that the guy doesn't like you, where she just picks up her phone, sends the message, and it's like 9 seconds long. Like if you say you are dating somebody, and you cannot even get that 9 seconds message
video
in the
of
whole
message.
day. No, it's like like a voice note.
Oh,
Like,
the guy
"Hey, babe,
sent her a voice
how you
note,
doing?
yes.
Da, da, da." No, she's mocking it. Oh, hi baby, how you doing? Today is going to be very busy. I have 4 meetings on the board. I'm here thinking about
you.
you. Like, if you can't get that 9
Thank
seconds,
you.
and who you are with,
Exactly.
you are just
You're
joking.
alone.
Just
You're
wasting
alone.
time.
Your
Yeah.
book gets it. But anyway, that's all the time we have for today's episode of The Big Conversation. Today we explored a difficult but very real dilemma. When two important parts of your life collide, how do you choose? Because life doesn't always give you neatly separated priorities. Sometimes the things that matter most show up at the same time. And in those moments, every choice comes with a cost. Choosing career may bring growth, opportunity, and progress. Choosing family may bring connection, presence, and lasting memories. But perhaps the most important thing is this: to choose intentionally, just like Jumoke said, to communicate honestly, just like Ayo said, and to take responsibility for the consequences of your choice, just like April said. Because in the end, it's not just about what you choose, it's about what you can live with. And that choice is yours. We love you for watching. Until next time, choose wisely, live intentionally, and most importantly, keep watching The Big Conversation.
Voices rising, stories told, truth unfolding, brave and bold. In this space we speak our mind, different views all intertwined. It's the big conversation where the real ones talk. From the heart of the nation we all take that walk. Through the fire, through the facts we don't hold back. It's the big, big conversation. Voices rising, stories told, truth unfolding, brave and bold. In this space we speak our mind, different views all intertwined. It's the